When Tiger won the Masters, there was so back then there were no black members, I don't think, even in 1997. That's the year he won it. And then there's caddies. They would let them carry the bag, but they wouldn't let them play the course, right? And then for years after that, they still wouldn't let any women members in. It was a private club, and they had a case to make. But as it pertains to black folks, though, it's funny. Tiger never really claimed to be black, and he was a problematic character in my life because loved watching him play, loved how much he pissed white people off. I had friends that would look at the team and be like, "An asshole." I'm like, "Yeah, you're telling on yourself," because but when Tiger won the Masters, there's a tradition that the following year, the reigning champion sets the menu for the champion's dinner. All right. Do you know anything
Wow.
about this? Okay.
I don't.
So you're hearing
Please
the story for
explain.
the first time then. Fuzzy Zoeller, his nickname was Fuzzy Zoeller, longtime pro, former Masters champion, sort of a comic relief type of guy on the tour. Everybody loved him. Good old boy, like the definition of a good old boy, right? He says to the camera, he does an interview, and he always is trying to crack a joke here and there. And he literally said, "Hey, happy for the young man, blah, blah, blah. Just make sure next year for the dinner, he doesn't make us all eat fried chicken and watermelon or whatever it is they eat." And he
Wow.
leaves.
Wow.
And it's like, that didn't actually just happen, did it? And that was playing on a loop now. ESPN picked it up and all the controversy around it, as you would imagine. The fucked up thing was not just that he said it, all the players on the PGA Tour. So Tiger didn't say shit. Tiger kept quiet. Tiger didn't like dealing with racial issues at all. Tiger viewed himself as above racism or outside of the realm of the real world of racism and didn't really want to tackle it. The worst part was all the golfers said, Tiger should let him off the hook. Tiger knows that he's just kidding. Tiger should come out with a statement so that Fuzzy doesn't get all this backlash. And I'm like, once again, fuck you. You know what I mean? Like, you're trying to have the victim exonerate the criminal here. And now Tiger became the bad guy in that narrative from the perspective of the entire PGA Tour and their establishment. And it was so fucked up. So, like, we're out there playing golf for the first time, and then all of a sudden realizing, what are we doing? Like, what? You ever walk into a place where you're really uninvited and unwanted, and you're like, yeah, I'm just gonna get the fuck out of here. Like, why am I here? And that's kind of what golf always felt like. Anyway, and I play with these old guys. It's like, yeah, this is the only course that we were allowed to play on when we were coming up. And I used to carry my father's bag out here. This is the only place in all of Richmond where black folks were allowed to play golf. You know what I mean? And like, it's real. And I have an internal conflict about the game. Always had.
I do have this story. I remember there's one golf course in Queens, and one day, like me, my brother, and my cousin, we all rode our bikes to Queens from Brooklyn to Queens. We stumbled upon this like hidden golf course. So we were like just like riding our bikes on the golf course. And now we're being chased by security.
Yeah, yeah,
Everybody
yeah.
everybody got away but me. And
You got caught?
I got caught. Yeah. I got caught. They closed the gate. They closed the gate on me, and it was like they threatened to call police. It was like trespassing and
How
stuff.
old were
But
you?
eventually, I was probably, let's say, like
You're
12,
a kid.
13.
Okay.
Yeah, I was really young. We were just riding our bikes. You know what I
Right.
mean? Just having fun. And then we came across this golf course like this. You know, it's green.
Yeah, it's just a
There's hills.
right.
You know what I mean? And like from Brooklyn, you don't see spaces like that often unless you go to like Prospect Park. So we were like, yo, we're riding our bikes. This is crazy. This is perfect for riding a bike. And it just happened to be a golf course. And then um, that moment happened, and I was like, whoa, you know what I mean?
How
Like we almost got
how
arrested.
were you? Yeah, how hostile was the treatment?
So how that's an interesting question. I guess it wasn't too crazy, you know what I mean? Like they obviously they were upset and they were heated and they were like, that's trespassing, police stuff like that. I just like I didn't know, you know what I mean? And they just let me go and we rode our bikes back to Brooklyn. So, you know.
That
But
story's
that
so
huh?
well, I was just gonna say that story's so fucked up, but it just made me laugh so hard because I think we all have one of those stories where it was like, God, dog, we black and we do not belong, but we was just being
You
kids.
weren't doing anything.
Yeah.
Then
It's
yeah.
not funny at all, but damn, it was
No.
funny, kid.
Yeah. Yeah, no, yeah. It was a fun moment, but also I realized like, every time me and my brothers and cousin we would get into like, just be kids and do things that probably we weren't supposed to ride our bikes to Queens, but we did. I was the one who would always get caught. So,
Were
That's
you?
the part of
yeah.
the story that's funny. Now I figured it out.
Yeah.
Hey,
That's
it's
why
the
they
part
wanted
that
you
you
with them.
got caught.
That's why they wanted you with them. You've heard the
Yeah.
old story about, if you ever get attacked by a bear in the woods, like
Uh-huh.
I don't need to be faster than the bear. I just need to be faster than you. So as long as you're with me,
Right.
then I'm
Yeah.
good. That's what they thought of with you. As long as Kev is here, we're gonna get
Yeah.
away.
That's true.
Welcome to Coach's Corner, where culture, strategy, and real talk collide. I'm Nia McConnell.
And I'm Tamer Mokhtar. We're breaking down the week's biggest plays, connecting the dots, and as always, keeping it real.
No topics too big, no truth gets sugarcoated.
Because knowing the game ain't enough. You've actually got to know how to win it.
Let's get into it.
Let's go.
Today's episode is about the Knicks versus Pacers. We are reliving history, and I wanted to check in with Kev and Tam to really get a read, help the girlies out, tell us what is happening. We see the viral clip of Reggie Miller getting to relive that one moment. We see Spike Lee getting to live his best life. Kev, Tam, talk to us. Kev, you representing today, huh?
Yeah, it really is. It
Hey.
really is. Is that a
We
John Starks
represent.
jersey?
It is.
So there's a
It is.
throwback right there. So how many people remember John Starks was, he went from bagging groceries, right, to being picked up by the Knicks and turned into like a cult hero. He had one of the great dunks of all time. Remember that left-handed dunk? I think it was over the Bulls. Coming baseline,
What?
just dunked over like
Mhm.
all 17 Bulls play, everybody that was on the bench, the coach, the guy handing out water and Gatorade, dunked on everybody. It was a great and he's only like 6'3". Like he's a little guy, came over the top of everybody.
Tam, where were you back in the day when the choke
I was
happened?
all over it. So I was a huge NBA fan all through college. Like I could name, you tell me anybody's first name, I could tell you which team they were on. Like I was the guy that used to like watching like the really boring middle of the season Tuesday night games. I was also a Washington Bullets / Washington Wizards fan. I would go to at least one game every year alone just because I wanted to be in the building. Even though I couldn't afford it, I would go to one game, buy a single ticket, and just go. I mean, that's kind of who I was. I was all into the NBA. I remember, Reggie Miller and the choke around, Spike Lee, and Spike Lee kind of made things. People kind of blaming Spike for that because he just gave fuel to Reggie Miller, who just couldn't miss. He would close his eyes, turn around backwards, and hit a 3-pointer from 30 feet. So Reggie Miller in those days, and by the way, those were also the days where there was real edge to the game. There's a lot of animosity. There you got, it was where benches would clear,
Super
fists would be
physical.
thrown, and people wouldn't even get thrown out of the game. Like it would just be a technical foul, and you playing the rest of the game with a swollen eye. That was good. Those are good times, man. I really enjoyed those old days and oddly enough, I'll say one more thing. The day I remember was it the Knicks and I can't remember. It was the NBA Finals. It was right around my birthday, 95. And when the NBA Finals was interrupted because OJ was in that white Bronco with Al Cowlings riding on the California freeway. And I remember the Knicks were in the finals. I can't remember who they were playing, but I remember that pretty specifically.
That
Crazy.
is so full circle because now we living through a whole new crazy trial during the same. Wow, that's crazy. That's what's crazy to me. All right, Kev, how you living your best life with
The Knicks.
this series? Yeah.
One, I'm super excited to see the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals. It's a big deal for me. I've been a Knicks fan since I was a kid. I had to be about like 6 or 7 when my dad was driving through Manhattan, and
He was driving through where? Sorry.
Manhattan.
Oh, because I didn't hear any
Okay,
T's at
Manhattan.
all when you pronounced it
Okay,
second. It was
yeah. We
Manhattan.
call it the city.
Manhattan.
Yeah,
Got it.
that's how
Manhattan.
we
Got it.
say
Manhattan.
it in New York.
Right. Just wanted
So
to make sure.
he is, and I remember he stopped and got me an autograph from Charles Oakley. So like that was like my first like Knicks experience, and from then on, I became a Knicks fan.
Oak was
And
a
we had
bastard, by the way. Like Oak was like people. It's coming out now how frightened people actually were of Oak. Like he was,
Yeah.
you got one guy, one bully, one alpha dog in that pack, and that was Oak apparently.
Yeah, it was crazy. I don't know how my dad did it. It was like a mob of people.
It's a big deal.
And he went in and then came out with an autograph, and I was like, oh wow.
That's cool.
Hey, that's a crazy moment.
That's a good get.
Yeah. So I was a Knicks fan from there, and we had a lot of tough years, a lot of
Lots
losses,
of tough years. Yeah.
a lot of hope and
Do you remember
deflated
the Pat
balloons.
Riley years? Are you old enough to remember those
Yes.
Pat Riley years?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
he
I do
was.
remember.
That was rough and tumble, all defense. People were. That's back
Mhm,
when Oak and Anthony Mason, who looked like a complete robot, like a cyborg,
he
and
was
yeah, and
huge.
John Starks. That's when they were just beating
Right.
people up, defensive games. I really enjoyed that period,
Mhm.
actually.
Patrick Ewing, you know, he was the guy. And I will say that going back to the choke reference, that's like a highly offensive gesture to the Knicks fan. So I'm in several group chats and friends would just send me the choke and I'm like, yo, you guys can't do that. It's highly triggering. So like don't send the choke or mention choking to Knicks fans. It's bad.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Real good to know. We getting some New York etiquette on
All
today's
right.
call.
By the
On
way, the New
today's
York Knicks
thing.
team, well, I guess I don't care about the Giants either. That I don't actually harbor any animosity towards. Like I can't stand the Yankees. The general New York superiority and entitlement. I kind of feel like it's okay with the Knicks because y'all are the Knicks are. Oh, to be honest with you, historically the Knicks are a little bit mediocre. Y'all just don't have the history, like for example, that the Boston Celtics have. The Celtics won
Right,
Right.
right,
11 out of
right,
13 championships,
right.
and all that. So for all of the arrogance of the New York basketball team, I still don't really harbor a lot of animosity. They're just not much of a threat. So I'm happy for y'all.
Yeah.
That was condescending as shit, by the way. I realize what I just did.
Right.
Yes.
But the Knicks, I think this Knicks team is different, right? They're relentless. They kind of show and capture the heart of a New Yorker, right? And when I mean New York is a very expensive city, there's gentrification going on, right? But when you think about the people from Brooklyn, you think about the people from Queens, Bronx, who work hard every day. They the train operators. They're even trash men. They work at the MTA. You know what I mean? People who are just getting by and just work they ass off to survive in a big city. And I think the Knicks, this current roster on the Knicks, they capture that grit, that
Interesting.
grind, that perseverance of the city. You know what I mean? You got to go hard every day. Like,
Is that
you got to get
is
to
that what Jalen Brunson represents to you? Do you see that in him?
Yeah, he's actually skilled, but he works hard. You know what I mean? He works really, really hard on his craft. And I think that's why New York has accepted them at him as their own,
Interesting.
Mm.
And his dad was a Nick as well, New York is a city where you have to grind. You either, grind it out or it will eat you up. You know what I mean? New York appreciate the fighters. There's a toughness in New York. And I think the Knicks current team exhibits that toughness, that grit.
I want to ask you something. So first of all, I do
Right.
recognize that I'm talking shit about the Knicks, and here I am, a Wizards fan. We've won one championship, 1978, for God's sake. Like,
We
I,
need to
Right.
check on
I
Tam.
need
We
to
need to send a doctor to
recognize
check
my
on him
Right.
place
because that's
in
a
this.
Delulu being a Wizards
Yeah,
fan.
for sure. I recognize that. But so here's my question to you. This is more a broad, like sort of New York cultural question. And I'd like your input on this as well. I respect people that everything you just described, live in the city, either
Right.
make it or just keep fighting until you just get a foothold and get ahead. What gets me, and I'm sure this exists everywhere, but you'll see like in here in Virginia, you will see people with like New York, whatever license plates, and I'm from New York, and they're holding on to the accent and everything else. I'm like, you are so proud to be from New York. Why aren't you still in New York? And there's one answer to that question because you couldn't make it in New York. If you're so proud of New York, you'd still be in New York. And if you come back to me and say, well, it was too expensive, oh, so you couldn't make enough money to stay there. Or it wasn't, oh, so then you could, like, whatever the reason is, don't sit there and sit on your New York pride living in Virginia. You see what I mean? Like, and by the way, you've been here for 25 years. You're not a New Yorker anymore. You can go ahead and drop the accent. You can put the T's back in Manhattan. You know what I mean? So I'm just kind of curious. As a
Right.
guy that's now you've just left New York recently, but having lived your whole
Right.
life there, what do you think about these expatriates, expats, the people that move out of the city and still claim it?
So as a New Yorker, right, being able to like leave New York is a very high accomplishment. You know what I mean?
Really?
Mm,
Yeah, yeah.
wow.
So like think about you're coming from and I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I grew up in Section 8 housing, you know what I'm saying? So my upbringing was very different than I guess someone living in Manhattan on the Upper East Side, right? So there's a
Those are
socio-economic
different
gap.
countries almost, though, right? Like
Yeah, yeah. Like a lot of my cousins, right, for example, they haven't ventured out to the Bronx or Manhattan. They don't spend a
they've
lot
never
of
left their
time
borough.
in Manhattan. Exactly. A lot of people are restricted to like the places they're go through for other reasons. One of the things that changed my life, right? Instead of going to my local high school in Brooklyn, I selected all schools in Manhattan so I could like venture out of Brooklyn. So me leaving Brooklyn saved my life. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
I would have been I would have been restricted to some of the circumstances that a lot of my cousins, my brothers, all of them went to. But me leaving Brooklyn, venturing into Manhattan, allowed me to experience and see different things in the New York City. You know what I mean?
What pushed you to make that decision? What inspired you to
Well,
venture out?
I think that it was like that moment that I experienced with my dad actually getting that Knicks,
Really? So Charles Oakley is part of the reason.
Yeah, and I'll break it down for you. So like Manhattan to me, right, was kind of like the gateway. So I grew up in Brooklyn, Section 8 housing, around a lot of poverty. You know, there was a huge drug market, you know what I'm saying? Crime and all the things that was associated with that, you know what I mean? So Manhattan to me was a place where I saw, like, you see the big lights of Times Square, you see people dressed in suits, you know what I mean? So Manhattan was a different place than Brooklyn to me, starkly different. And I knew based on kind of like I used to read a lot too, a lot more more than I do now. And I had this affinity for Manhattan. I had this affinity for success. I think what really attracted me was that diversity in people. You know what I mean? So that's why I selected um, to go to high school in Manhattan, and that opened the doors for me. And it was a different world. Yeah, very different world.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. So to answer
So
your
yeah, but at
question,
14, when
yeah,
you had to choose a high school,
mhm.
like how that's a very mature decision.
Yeah, it was simple. I just knew that Brooklyn, like, that was like my family story. So I wanted to do something different. I wanted to go beyond Brooklyn and be beyond Brooklyn. So that kind of like informed my decision of being in Manhattan. I knew if I were to go to Manhattan, that would put me in a different environment, you know,
Yeah. No, I'm with you,
cleaner
Kev.
streets. Yeah.
I thought New York was gonna be my ticket out of the South. I just knew it too. I was gonna graduate from my
I don't think there's a
HBCU in
single
Austin,
person in New York
Texas.
City that would understand a thing that came out of your mouth, Nia. That Texas accent.
Yeah.
Listen, they wouldn't even. I always think about the adjustment I would have to make to not say "excuse me," "sorry," "yes, ma'am," "yes, sir," and all these southern respectability politics we have here. What it would be like to go up north and have to walk real fast and get used to getting bumped and being around the rats. Shit, the rats alone, I'm happy I never made it to North, to be quite honest with you. But it was the dream, man. I wanted to work at Essence Magazine in New
Wow.
York. I just really thought that was gonna be it. But to hear you say, Kev, like it's an honor to survive in New York and it's an honor to actually leave New York, that's really deep. I hadn't heard that before. So that was good. Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you. It's true too. It's true. New York, it depends on where you grow. New York is a beautiful city. It's also expensive, like you said.
It's also not just
Yeah,
Manhattan. The vast majority of human beings think of New York, it's Times Square, even more specifically. Like that's what you think of.
right.
So yeah, when you and if it's a reality check to say, you know what, go on out to like whatever Queens
Yeah.
and the row houses and everything else, and you will see that New York is not all skyscrapers.
Right.
And
No,
Tamer,
people. Mhm.
I'm sorry.
No, go
Do you
for it,
know
Kev.
the average rent in New York City
I
right
have no
now
clue.
is
No clue.
like $3,000
For
for one bedroom, maybe. You know,
Or a
it's really
closet.
high. Yeah. So like, you have to make a lot of money you have to make a lot of money to live just to be okay.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
that's
You're
not
not getting
surprising. Yeah, that's not surprising. I'm so far removed
to
from.
ride the
Yeah,
train.
it's not
Yeah,
surprising.
it's bad.
So, speaking of New York and New York's finest, let's talk about Spike Lee. How has he become a mainstay character at the Knicks Stadium? Okay, what's your first memory of Spike Lee at the
Well,
Knicks game?
I feel like he's been a day one supporter of the Knicks. Even we referenced that choke moment momentarily. That was a gesture
By the way, that was a
towards Spike
long time
Lee.
ago. That was 30. That was almost 30 years ago. So let's put that in perspective, right? When you say he was a day one, like there are receipts.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was 30 years ago.
right. And he's always courtside. You know what I mean? He earned that position. He definitely has.
He
Think about the
definitely
coin that
has.
he's dropped for those courtside seats for that long. I mean, it's
Millions, right?
oh yeah,
Millions,
easy. There's what is
millions.
it, 41 regular season games a year at home and on an 82 game schedule, and each one of those tickets on the basic, like the lowest possible estimate is $1,000 a ticket, let's just say. So he's dropping 40K a year at least, like probably 10 times that for 30
Right.
years. All right. So an awful lot of money.
Yeah.
Man, did you see him in Denzel has a new movie coming out?
I did see that. and ASAP Rocky he'll be playing a young Denzel.
Pumping it up a lot. I've seen him all over the place. Like,
Yeah,
It gets me excited,
what is the
man, to
premise of
see
the movie?
ASAP.
I don't know anything about it.
I have no
All
idea.
right, so let me tell you, I try to run away. If they start talking about the premise of a movie, I run away. I like to go into a movie
Just totally
very
blind.
blind.
Interesting. So
Totally
what sends you to
blind.
the movie? Just the makers of the stars or whatever it is?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If they're a good storyteller, I'm in the building, baby.
Interesting. All right, so how about this?
Yeah.
Favorite Spike Lee movie?
She's gotta have it.
Number one, first one. Interesting.
Favorite? I want to say Crooklyn, but I'll go with Malcolm X.
Malcolm X that was Denzel's best work. Like I forgot I was watching Denzel.
Oh, actually, I'll take that back. I'll go with Mo Better Blues.
Okay. See,
Oh,
that's my pick.
yeah,
Actually, my first dog. I named my first dog Bleak after Bleak Gilliam,
Wow.
the principal character in that movie. Mo Better Blues was absolutely my favorite movie. And Cinda Williams, who sang that song Harlem Blues. If you haven't heard it in years, or you know what I'm talking about, look it up on Spotify. When she sings Harlem Blues, I could listen to that song on a loop. And she was fine as
I'm
hell.
gonna play it today. I'm excited to.
Right.
Sam, that part kind of mumbled in, but we heard you.
I also love how like Spike Lee he works with the same cast. Like that continues to work with his people from movie to movie. You know, I think that's really.
I love that Giancarlo Esposito has had a second career, and you know he was bugging out in Do the Right Thing. Do the Right Thing was a very important movie to me personally. Interestingly, the old critic Siskel and Ebert, who coined the two thumbs up or whatever it is, they were like the mainstay. It was the one movie that both of them rated, or they described as not a single scene was out of place or unnecessary. Like they rated that as one of the top movies they had ever seen. So shout out to, Do the Right Thing was a very serious movie and a very serious moment. Like that was a time in '89 when, you know, there was violence happening race riots were happening all over the place quietly that people didn't know much about. Virginia Beach. It was happening nonstop. Yeah, that movie was something.
Did y'all see Denzel hem that guy up in Caney's? I'm gonna do it again.
No,
run that
that's staying in where? The Caney's Film Festival?
What'd I say?
Caney's. And they got some
how you
extra
supposed
sauce
to
and
say it?
Texas toast when he did that. No, it's Cannes. It's a
Can.
Yeah, it's Cannes. The Cannes Film Festival. You don't even pronounce the S. It's a place in France. Yeah, the Cannes Film Festival.
I'm putting the S. No, Cannes.
The Cannes Film Festival. And yes, Denzel
I'll
did absolutely man up and let that man know what was what. And then the man grabbed him again anyway. There's a good video. There's a good interview of Jamie Foxx talking to Denzel. And he tells Denzel the story. Like, you didn't know me. I hadn't come up yet. And I walked up to just speak to you real quick. And I got a little too close. And you put the forearm right in my. He's like, yeah, it sounds like me. I kind of gave you the forearm. He said, he put it right up in my throat. Couldn't get any closer. I wouldn't mess with Denzel.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mess with Denzel at all.
Oh,
These
man.
people,
yeah, he listens to Moneybagg Yo.
That was crazy that Denzel is still with all the new hip hop music.
He's doing a movie with ASAP Rocky. Yeah, and I've seen him quote like Cardi B and he's in it. He's in it.
Yeah, he's in it. We love Denzel. Who do y'all have? Who's taking it? Who's taking it all away? Who's winning the championship?
Tough to say. I would love. We're just gonna keep it Knicks. Love to see them in the finals. That would be amazing. Just the energy is bringing to the game of basketball and to the city. New York is back. I could feel the energy in Philly.
But this isn't New York Knicks basketball though. The NBA isn't New York Knicks basketball anymore. There's no defense. There's no. I heard was it John? Who was it that said the problem is, and this sounded bad, but the soundbite was generally speaking, so the problem is the Europeans. I said, damn. But the Europeans, there's no defense. There is no intensity. People will literally just sort of watch you go by them for a layup rather than contest it. And back in the day, remember, the New York Knicks and the Detroit Pistons, you were not allowed to get a layup. Layups were not allowed. And you would hurt somebody. You could get hurt by going in there. It was, you know what I mean? You had to be a full-grown man to go to the rim back in the day. That doesn't exist anymore. So maybe this is the New York Knicks jersey, but it's all about three. There's no such thing as a mid-range jumper anymore. Nobody takes defense seriously. I don't think James Harden has ever marked a man in his life, and he's considered one of the all-time best NBA players these days because that's how much the game has changed. Right. Again, I'm sounding old. I know I'm sounding old, but I own my age.
I feel like this playoff series, teams are playing more physical basketball. That's what I'm seeing.
Compared to what? Compared to the tissue
compared
paper
to
basketball they've been playing, maybe.
yeah. So I guess it's like a return to like the old days, but
I'd love it. I'd love to see a
obviously,
good,
yeah,
just get the bad blood out, have a nice brawl every now and then.
yeah. Let them
They
play.
never
You know
connect
what
with
I
any
mean?
actual punches anyway. Just,
Tam said he want to
Right.
see an elbow or
you
something.
don't? I mean,
Yeah.
seriously, you want some
Yeah.
intensity. I don't want everybody. I loved it when people actually hated each other. You know what I mean? It brought
Right.
so
Right.
much to the game. Mike Jordan and Isaiah Thomas haven't had a conversation since about 1990. You know what I mean? And that's
Right.
good for the game. Those kinds of
That's
things,
good
that
for the game.
Really
edge, when
healthy.
you really want to go, as opposed to you won, good game, we're humiliated, but you know what? We all have the same agent. We're all making $1 billion and none of this really matters. This is just for show. Nah, man, people used to put their heart into it.
Right. And that's why I admire Jalen
I
Brunson
think he puts in the work.
because he puts in the work. Also, he re-signed with the Knicks early, right? So that it wasn't about the money for him, right? He took lesser pay so that the Knicks could build a team.
That's cool.
And
I respect
yeah,
that.
that's really cool. Whereas, there's narratives and examples of other players. They will go to another team and they'll go to the team who pays them the most amount of money. You know what I mean? That's typically what happens. Is no real loyalty there.
Kevin Durant
And
would go to any team
yeah,
that had a chance of
I
winning a
wanted
championship. Yeah.
instead of like staying true to the
Right.
city and
Right.
really working for it. So that's why I respect Jalen Brunson, because he has that like old school approach to the game, very hard nosed. Even the way he plays, like you don't really see point guards like backing down other guards anymore. Kind of like Mark Jackson, you know what I mean?
Oh, Mark Jackson
So
back in the day, yeah.
yeah, so I respect this game a lot, and that's what the Knicks are winning. They're hard nosed. They playing defense, as best as they can, and they put. You can really see the effort on the floor. Coming back down from like I think it was like the other day they were down 20 points. To win the game 3 in the
Yeah,
playoffs.
they did. They definitely fought back because they were on. I mean, they were on the verge of losing control of the
Yeah,
series altogether.
absolutely. So to have that like state of mind and the mentality to fight back, not to quit, to just be grounded in the game,
Look at
focused.
you. You are just full of pride. Good
Yeah.
for you. You know what? I'm happy for you, man. I'm happy.
Thank you. I think a lot of Knicks fans are happy right now. Even if I'm not going to say we're going to lose the series, but even if we did, I think we're all proud of the effort that the Knicks put
Make
in.
it to the conference finals. It's been a minute.
Yeah. Right. It's been a long time. And we beat the Celtics.
Come on now. My camera flipped just as. Come on now. Tam talked about the Celtics earlier and how they're legendary.
Well, see, the thing about the Celtics.
So
the thing about the Celtics in basketball is this. All right. So they won all those championships way back when, right? In a different century, almost 100 years ago, it feels like. Celtics fans are not nearly. Now, by the way, Celtics fans have their issues. Boston fans definitely have their issues. But there is nobody more annoying than a New York Yankees fan that sit there and talk about their 26 World Series championships or whatever, 27 or whatever the hell it is. And it's like, y'all were really, really reliving history from decades. Like, you know what I mean? So that's why I guess I have a thing about New York fans in general. I think it's Yankees. New Yorkers are all assholes. Yankees are assholes at a whole different level. Yankees fan. And it's the 27 championships. Okay, congratulations. You haven't won shit in a decade, but yeah, keep hanging your hat on the 27. There you go. You want me to? I got opinions on anything. What else you want? Mind you, I'm not from New York or Boston. I don't have a dog in either one of those fights.
Said the hate does not make sense.
I'm definitely a hater, for
sure.
For sure, I'm a hater. There's no question about it. But Yankees fans make it easy to be a hater.
Before we dip, let us plug you in so you can be on the lookout for what AAV has to come.
Peace, y'all. It's Kevin Story with Turn Up, Turn Out. We're giving you exclusive access to some of the hottest events of the season. We got tickets to Cowboy Carter, Kendrick Lamar and SZA, Broccoli Fest, and much, much more. Make sure y'all stay tuned in and locked.
So that's it for this week's edition of Coach's Corner.
Keep the conversation going. Drop your hot take. Send it to your group chat. Argue in the comments. We see it all.
We see all of it. All of it.
Go Knicks.
Damn the Knicks. And remember, knowing the game isn't enough. You've got to know how to win it.
We'll see you next week.
Peace.
Perfection. Peace. I appreciate y'all.
Assalamu alaikum. Make a salami sandwich. I heard somebody say one time.
Oh, that's crazy.
That's nuts.